Efia and Sarkodie. And Efia is going to be here today, God willing, and Sarkodie will be here very soon. We need to talk about stir it up and all the controversies that are being stirred up by this one collabo with Bob Marley. Oh, Ghana people, just support the guy la. Support the guy la. Oh, true. Hey, good morning, welcome to the show. If you've just joined us, you've missed Bambara beans with wheat and raisins and bell peppers and tuna and sweet corn and homemade vinaigrette. Everything blended with sassiness and style from our chef, Lady T. You missed it. Shame on you. Next time, wake up early and join the kitchen. But don't worry, go to GTV Breakfast's Facebook page right now and relive the experience. As for the tasting, it happened to me and Thelma and Matiti and even Valerie, who appeared from nowhere to come and eat a mouthful of Bambara bean, wheat, everything salad. It's right there. Every Thursday we have our cooking sessions. And I'll be learning how to cook. So watch out for that. I've blown up a kitchen before. So I'm just warning Lady Thelma that I'm a dangerous person in the kitchen. Good morning to you all. I hope that the day has started beautifully. My guests are seated on the far, in Ghana, you shake from right to left, culturally. Go like this, you slap people. So I have to introduce them as you see them, So Sheikh Arimiao Shaibu is the spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. And Mr. Kwame Jantwa is the chairman of the Political Affairs Committee of the Convention People's Party. He's a lawyer and he's an energy expert as well. Gentlemen, good morning to you all.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. I want to start with Mr. Jantwa because tomorrow marks the 3rd anniversary of the passing of the youngest cabinet minister of Osagyefo, who was also Minister for Agriculture. And he's the father of Mr. Kwame Jantwa. Tomorrow will be exactly 3 years since he passed. That's your dad there looking all nice and handsome. Yeah. And understand he even trained to be a pharmacist.
He's a pharmacist.
He's a pharmacist and then became a lawyer too.
Well, he was a pharmacist and then because of the way he was... Anyway, good morning to our viewers.
Morning.
And thank you, Thelma. You've invigorated me this morning with
yes.
the Bambara beans salad.
Bambara beans.
Yes. And because he was very active, Nkrumah suggested to him that he should go and read law.
Oh, nice. The president suggested to him, hey, go and read law.
The kind of integration you have and the way you do things, go and read law.
Okay.
So he went to read law.
Yeah, the president says go.
And it helped him. In 1966, when the coup came and they imprisoned him for 5 years, when he now came back, they also seized his law license. So he didn't have work to do. So he went back to his pharmacy.
Back pocket.
And it was in the middle of KJTR. His shop was in his pharmacy was in the middle of KJTR.
Heart of Kumasi.
Yeah, heart of Kumasi. And he found it difficult to go. I mean, being a big lawyer and then all of a sudden your license is taken off you, how would people see? But he realized that going back into pharmacy, the people of Kumasi now gravitated more towards him.
Because you're meeting them every day.
Yes, and that's what also now spelled him when President Rawlings was looking for someone to calm the Ashantis down. When he came in, they told him, go for that man. And that is how the Dioma now became part and parcel of PNDC.
Local government, right?
Local government.
Minister for local government.
Yes, and he was regional minister first.
Okay.
Remember when the Ashantis said they were going to secede to Côte d'Ivoire? Yabesa Côte d'Ivoire. He was the one who now calmed Ashanti down. But remember, he was also part of the building of the Ashanti. There's a picture that I sent you with the colonial masters.
The group photo?
The group photo.
Okay, let's bring up the group photo. Yes. Is it this one?
No, this is the...
Okay, there's another group photo.
This is the last cabinet.
Okay. Oh, this is the last cabinet of Nkrumah?
Yeah, this one.
So this picture, describe this picture for us.
This picture. He's the one on the right side.
Okay, in the cloth. Okay,
and
far right.
Yes, those are the colonial masters who were in Ashanti trying to set Ashanti in a certain way which would benefit them. So he was part and parcel of that consultative assembly.
Wow.
And
what year is this?
Yeah, I think this is around, I'm not sure, but
50s?
What year is that? 51.
Oof. Wow.
51.
70 something years ago.
Yes.
72.
He did a lot in Ashanti.
Yes.
Did a lot in Ashanti.
Wow. And the other group photo, let's look at that other group photo, the last cabinet of Kwame Nkrumah. And there's another group photo, and then give us the story behind it. Let's have the other group photo that we have, that we saw. Aha, this one.
So that's the last cabinet of Nkrumah. My father is the one right behind Nkrumah with glasses.
Okay.
So this is the last 65 cabinet.
Okay.
This was the cabinet before the coup.
The coup.
Yes.
So who are inside there?
There's Atam Mensah, there's Krobodise, there's Susanna Alassane.
Oh, Auntie Selma's mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're all in there.
Okay.
All in there. Kojo Botsio.
Wow.
They're all in there. Kofi Bakon.
Kweku Baku's father.
Yeah, Kweku Baku's father. They're all in that picture.
This is one for the archives.
Yes, one for the archives.
Ah,
in fact, there are more pictures. When he died and we went into some albums, there are more pictures.
And would I be right in saying that everybody in that picture has passed on?
Yes, everybody has
Everybody?
Everybody's gone.
Because your dad was the youngest in that cabinet.
Yes, all of them. He died at 102.
Your father died at what?
102.
Like a radio frequency?
102, yes. Died at 102.
Wow.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
May
And
he
tomorrow
rest
will be the third anniversary.
Third anniversary.
Is mom still alive?
Yes.
What?
Is 92. She'll be 93 this year.
Warm regards to mom.
Whether I will get there, I don't know.
Well, everything is in the hands of God. But thanks to regards to mom.
Yes,
I remember I interviewed, I was one of the last people to interview your father many years ago.
Yes.
About 5-6 years ago.
Yes, 5-6 years ago.
May he rest in peace. Mr. F.A. Jantwa. For those who want to know what the F and the A stand for.
Franklin Edubobi Jantwa, but he was a Kwame.
Okay.
And funny enough, all his brothers, you know his brother KSP.
Another minister.
Yes, another minister. He also was Kwame.
Okay.
All my father's 5 brothers are Kwame.
All Kwames?
Yes, and I'm a Kwame. And my son is a Kwame.
What was the formula?
I don't know. All born on Saturday.
Thank you so much. So a peep into history. It's not only Lawyer Anochi who gives us history, you know. This is a peep into history, living history, the son of the youngest cabinet minister of Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Mr. F.A. Jantwa, who passed away in 2020 at the age of 102. May he rest in perfect peace. Sheikh, good morning.
Good morning.
Again, what's on your mind?
Yeah, two things struck me over the week. One has to do with student rampage.
The Krobia Asante School?
Yes. Mm-hmm. That is the only kind of it we have witnessed before. We have seen that even at the university level.
The Commonwealth and Saba people.
I mean,
yeah.
They think because they have a disagreement, even among them, between two halls, what they can do is to attack one hall and destroy cars and destroy and bend things.
Ludicrous.
I think it is, a trend that is now coming back. Students at the senior high school are doing it. Let's watch out that students at the JHS level do not also one day, even at the basic school level, rise up and say because they disagree with authority or whatever, they decide that what they can do is to burn cars, attack their own teachers, and so on and so forth. We have a challenge at our school level, and I think that the issue of counseling is a very important subject to really consider. Students, when they have issues, must be given a way to vent it out. But it all comes within what system have we put in place that allows them. If they are unable to get it, far as they can go, in my view, can they even decide to boycott classes, to send their message, for example? Do they have to go beyond and to bend? I have been they're complicit. And it's something that I remember with regret. During my training college level, I went to training college quite grown. I mean, yes, I tell my life story. From 73, I finished Form 4. I did not go to school until 1979, when I got a chance to go to training college. And just the first year that I entered school, I mean, our seniors who were quite domineering, for one or two reasons, had incited us into, St. Joseph's Training College. And the describe it as vandalism and wanton destruction of property. That's the first time. That's when I got this vocabulary from our own action. So the Western Regional Ghana Education
you were part and parcel of the action.
Well, I cannot exonerate myself because it was a student action.
Yeah.
But we came back with regret. You know, we were sacked from the school. We went home. The school was closed down. We came back only to be made to pay for what destructions we have caused to property. Yeah, and it delayed our educational distance for 1 year.
Was your father alive?
My father was alive
What
at
was
the
his
time.
reaction?
No, my father at the time. Actually, my father was not so keen even in this formal education thing. He wanted me to be a pure Muslim cleric. You know, so it was a matter of great regret, you know, for us afterwards. And I think that I would not advise any student that for whatever reason, that if he has an issue, that he should go and embark upon some of these actions, you know, complete indiscipline, destruction of property. But having said so, I think that our system must also be improved such that students have a way by which they can responsibly make their case or what their concerns, you know, known to school authority. We've seen the Islamic education, Islamic Senior High School 1, and whatever happened. Now we are seeing this. We do not know what the subsequent time will also bring to us, including even the university level and what they. I mean, you can say tech, you know. And I always say, with due respect to all my good friends who are from tech, I don't want to hear that as a University of Science and Technology is also not building cars for us, but they burn cars.
Build, not burn.
No, yeah. I mean, that's what I want to see. And I always will say, travel to the US, went to Ground Zero, and I saw how engineering, the creativity, something that brought them so much terror in their country was now turned into something. If I say how the thing has been designed, that's what we want our young people. Their creativity is what we want to see for the future, from the basis and the foundation for the transformation of our society. We lose our young people, and I say without any reservation that any community that has no concern for its youth and how responsible it will guide its youth is doomed to destruction. Any community, whether local community, a nation that has no plan, that really guides very well. And training here is not just academic, and that's why in the Fantis, or the Akan, let me put that for Akan. You see, if you go to school and you know book, but you don't have a fair answer. And the Fantis have a very funny way of putting it. I say, oh, school there could be oh, I did it. Oh, school there could be. If you answer the
To it.
So you've gone to school far. After academic book knowledge, you have obtained them very well. But the home wisdom,
You don't have.
You know, guys.
and that reduces your humanity. We have to be full human beings. And the fullness of humanity begins from our training. Then in the training, then God also comes in, and inspired by faith, now we attain full humanity. Take away the home training, our discipline, and God in our lives. We are reduced into just infrahumans. I mean, just like any creature. But we are made special. And that's why when you give birth to a child, you don't leave him to grow just like that in body. He doesn't grow in body. That one, we call it maturation. There's a difference between maturation and maturity. You know, so I'm worried. See, well, anytime I see some of these things,
you're worried.
because I grew as a young person before I reached this side. As I fade away, becoming weak, I'm very particular about the one who takes over from me, even at my family level. I'm very, very particular. And that person must be so responsible, full human being, that even before I pass on, I can feel proud that, yes, I have somebody to go over me. If we lose such in every family, you are in trouble. Where do we get our kings from? If we lose our young people, and we are losing our future kings, losing our future presidents, losing our future good parents. So, elders and young people, please, let's look into the future. It's one of my major worries.
Thank you so much for telling us, expressing what's on your mind. Just a quick note on the Krobe Asante Vocational and Technical School. There's a 5-member committee that's been set up to look into the issues, and we'll give you details on that as and when they come. Yes.
Who is responsible to make sure that the young people turn around?
Well, if it's on campus, it's the school authorities.
Parents.
And the parents are home. Yes, definitely.
Parents.
Yeah, depending on where you are.
Parents.
The parents hand over the children to the
communities.
To the school. Yeah.
Communities. And it's sad. These are the young next presidents and vice presidents and ministers in this country.
You're in trouble, eh?
Oh, big trouble. And Sheikh was right. In my old age, sitting in my room, not being able to do anything, and I don't have a responsible president or vice president, what's my life for? So the responsibility and the concern is on all of us to change it. You know, when we were in school, at Saddle College, we had students' council. So anytime, and normally, students were dissatisfied with dining hall food. That was where it started from, dining hall food. The student council will meet with the headmaster and the authorities and try and sort things out. And then they will come and tell the students, which made, there was a route in order for us to air the challenges that we had in school. Do we have it now? 2, one thing I don't see in our schools today is career guidance. Look, I'm chairman of the Ghana Energy Awards, and the 2 winners, the Personality of the Year, female and male, once they win, they have to do a service. So we go to schools and they tell the children how they made it, how they got there, some of the things they should be looking at. Kafi, would you believe, once we finish, the young children, they all flock. We are doing this subject. What can we do? What kind of career can we take? Yeah. We want to do law. We want to do pharmacy.
You're not getting this advice.
They are not getting it. Even the good old Achimota school, when we went there, a lot of the young children came to us. So we had to sit them down for nearly 2-3 hours, just speaking to them. It's missing. Career guidance is missing. When I was in school in London, there was a career guidance person on campus. You're doing first year law. After first year, they'll come and say, you know, with law, you can do this, you can do this, you can do that, you can go here, you can do that, so that they are putting you in a certain frame. By the time you get to third year, and by the time you do your bar or your articles, you know exactly where you want to go.
You know your options available.
Exactly.
And everything.
Do we do it here?
A lot needs to change.
A lot needs to change.
Educational system.
And you see, we need to put the partisanship aside.
That's it.
That thing is killing us. That partisanship. Look, one of Joy FM, they are doing a thing on education, and they've gone to some of the schools, and the children who are sitting on the floors,
yeah, I've seen that.
And are doing their exams on plastic chairs. Some are lying down on the floors with their exams.
Like snakes.
Yes,
Wow.
I mean, and you tell me that you have free education and there's no furniture in schools for the children? Okay, fair enough, government isn't doing it. What about institutions? The banks, the oil industry? You're making quite a lot of money. Can't you use part of that money to build furniture for students in schools? Look, it is a shared responsibility. If government isn't doing it, private sector should take it up and do. Because these are the young ones who we're going to train to take over. And if we don't help them get to where they want to get to, did we come or did we go? It's a challenge. And you can see there's a lot in Ghana that needs to change from my father's generation. There's a lot that needs to change. And it's not the politics of it. It is how we as a people decide that we are going to change things. Because if change doesn't come, where we're heading for, it will get to a time where it's only our personal interest that comes first. And we leave the country ajar for others to come and reap from us, unfortunately.
Thank you for your thoughts. Is there anything else on your mind apart from the education?
Yes.
This is like a bite of Sheikh's meal.
Yes. Well, yeah. And I'm not sure they will delve into it.
No, whatever you say, we'll delve into.
The Auditor General says COVID
Yes.
Government spent 11.7 million. The finance minister, in his presentation of COVID expenditure in Parliament, said they spent 12 million. Where is the 300 million?
You run those numbers by me again.
The Auditor General says 11.7 million is what they spent. The finance minister said they spent 12 million. There's a balance of 300 million. Where is it? Nobody has been able, government hasn't been able to tell us where that 300 million is.
We had a news clip this morning with and Mr. Daniel Domelevo was in the news, and he was basically saying that there have to be consequences on the COVID-19 expenditure infractions. He's calling for more severe sanctions against people involved in the COVID-19 expenditure infractions as contained in the AG's report. The norm where infractions are merely reported in the audit report with little to no consequences need to change immediately. If we can get that clip for you, it was in our news.
Who is going to take up that challenge, Kafue? Look, this Fourth Republic, how many people have gone to jail because of corruption? You can count them on your fingers. So who is going to do it? So far as I'm concerned, we'll talk, and it ends there, unfortunately. Because when you look at the Auditor General's report, it's mind-blowing, mind-boggling. You can't understand. Some people are saying, oh, it's got nothing to do with the ministers and co. It's middle management. There's a conduit.
There's a pipe.
There's a conduit. And I felt that with this particular report, if for nothing at all, we need to hear from the president on it. And people will tell you, oh, it's parliament. The president is the leader of this country. And with such huge amounts that we're talking about, how much are we going for from IMF? And it can even affect IMF application. Although I believe the IMF cannot afford Ghana to fail. So no matter what happens.
Why do you say that?
Oh, they can't afford Ghana to. They cannot afford it.
What is their interest?
Look, Ghana is strategic for the West. If for nothing at all, it's the most stable in Africa. If for nothing at all, Ghana is a country they can speak to. Ghana is a country that will listen to the West. Ghana
Is that good or bad?
Well, it depends on what they're looking for. It depends on what they are looking for. But they cannot afford. If Ghana fails, Africa is in trouble. Look, when you travel Africa, the way other African countries look at Ghana, if we in Ghana knew, we would be clapping our hands. They all look to Ghana. For some reason, maybe it's because we got independence first and we helped other countries get independence. Everybody looks to Ghana. So when they hear these types of news, you get calls. But what is happening in Ghana? What's happened to... I have a friend in Equatorial Guinea. She called me the other day and she says, we hear this and this is happening in Ghana. Why? How can it happen in Ghana? Our country is even worse. But why should it happen in Ghana? They don't understand it. So the West can't afford Ghana to fail. And if you realize, English speaking, Ghana is surrounded by Anglophone countries.
Francophone.
Francophone countries. We are the only Anglophone countries in the midst of Francophone countries. And so far as America is concerned, Ghana is the center of whatever they want to do. Do they not have an army here? Are they not training our army people? What won't they do to help the country Ghana? Yes, it could be an advantage, it could be a disadvantage, but it depends on how we work it. So I don't think the IMF, they won't bend over backwards, but they will try as much as possible, when they do give us the money, to police it in such a way that corruption doesn't come. Look, during President Kufuor's time, when they were doing the
George Bush Highway.
Wasn't it direct payment from America? Did it go through any government agency? It didn't.
Direct transfer.
Direct transfer. So you could see there is no infractions on that particular project. Maybe they'll do it with this one too. because they can't afford Ghana to fail.
Let's listen to the words of the former Auditor General, Daniel Domelevu, speaking on the COVID-19 expenditure infractions. On Focus on GBC News.
I think we are getting wrong as a country is that people who misapply or misappropriate public funds get away with it every time. There are no consequences for abuse of public funds. Hence, year in, year out, we get Auditor General's report, and it is replete with so many wrongdoings, some of them mind-boggling, but then at the end of the day, nothing happens. Surcharge is one of the mechanisms, but I don't think it is enough. Because if people know that I abuse public funds, and if I'm found out, I will be made to pay it back, they will always play games with public funds. There must be other punitive measures, such as prosecution, because if it's as simple as this, if we found a gentleman or a lady who goes in to steal somebody's mobile phone, if he or she returns it, they still prosecute him. Is that not it?
Yes.
Why is it that public funds, when you return it or it is taken away from you, then that ends the route or the journey? It is my expectation that the Special Prosecutor's Office can collaborate with the Auditor General, said that they can train staff of the Auditor General even to gather sufficient evidence for the Office of the Special Prosecutor to do prosecution. Because if the Auditor General is charging and collecting the money, and the Special Prosecutor or the Attorney General also start prosecuting people, and we find 2, 3, 4 people being jailed or fined on top of the money that has been collected from them, I think it will bring deterrence in the system, so that people will stop misbehaving and playing the fool with public funds.
So that was Mr. Daniel Domelevu, former Auditor General, speaking on these infractions as far as COVID expenditure is concerned. Sheikh, I want to come to you on this because the Finance Ministry has responded to the Auditor General's report on government's COVID-19 expenditure. And so in this report, the Auditor General, among other things, complained that the state spent $607 million out of $4 billion for the purchase of 26 ambulances, but the vehicles were never delivered. Now, and other expenditures, and now the Finance Ministry is saying that they coordinated the mobilization and disbursement of the funds for COVID-19 responses in line with Public Financial Management Act. Basically, they are saying that their expenditures were consistent with the mandate approved by Parliament. So they are saying basically that their interventions were approved by Parliament. So what's the fuss?
I mean, it raises a basic question. If according to our system, there are certain programs that requires the approval of Parliament before expenditure can be done on it. So if the Parliament, and in the Parliament we have both MPP and NDC, so if we have them all giving approval for such payments to be made, then whom do we hold responsible? Why do we have a Parliament? The Parliament is there. In my view, sometimes it's not so much good to all the time even be blaming the president. We have given the president, if you like, in the way we say, the unbridled authority to do things. Sweeping powers to do things. Yeah. But the Parliament is there also to serve as a balance or as a check. That's why certain things he cannot do unless it is been brought to the Parliament. Certain things they have to be brought to the Parliament, and Parliament to give approval, including even appointments. Yeah, for you to appoint somebody, that person must be vetted, and in that vetting, both sides are represented. So if both of them have now given their approval, and so finally the president appoints, if the person comes and is not doing the proper thing, who should be blamed? It's a question. So I think that is the diligence with which we do our work, understanding that whenever you are put in office, there is a purpose for it, and that purpose, if you don't work to really fulfill that purpose, you do a great damage in the now and in the future. You do the great damage in the now and in the future. And that's exactly what we are experiencing. When it develops to this level, now the blame game begins. So it's an issue that gives a clear picture of corruption that has been a worry for us, has dominated our public discourse for a long time. But, you know, our behavior in Ghana, put in the balance, ehurua. Ebajo.
What does that mean?
When
No
it
matter how high
boils.
those boils are, it will
However,
come down.
how
hot it becomes.
terrible it
It will
boils,
cool down.
it will cool down. In other words, you do it, even people like this one we are talking about it, just give it some few days. For every week something new develops and it pushes off the other ones from the table. And we forget about it. Now this one has come, just leave it for next week. Something will come, whether political or social or whatever, and then we'll forget it. So I think that our systems are not working and we have not shown true commitment to fighting corruption. And this, I will say that every present government had accused the previous government of corruption. Every. Including even those who embark on coup d'etat. Including the coup d'etat. You've always accused, only to take office and see that worse things are happening. So where do we go from here? So if my good friend Domelevo, and I thought he was one of the most courageous, Auditor General we've ever had. I mean, surcharging people who are untouchables in government. And for me, it was really, and damn, what would be the consequence? And finally, he had to leave office, probably on different grounds. He had to leave office. We need people who can be that courageous. We need people who can be that courageous on principle, that what is right, and what is wrong is wrong. Our country is bleeding. The hemorrhage, the financial bleeding that is inside is so terrible. And if we don't do something about it, there's nothing that we go to IMF, it will give us the money, we'll still squander, and gradually we are getting completely bankrupt. And
we are bankrupt.
We are already bankrupt, as it's been said. And you cannot even understand what will live for the future people of our country. So we really must feel ashamed of ourselves and let the law works. All anti-corruption programs and organizations must rise up, talk, demand accountability. Every peso that is spent when you are put in an office, you spend money, is the trust of the nation given to you. State funds put under your custody, entrusted to you. And you owe the community or the country responsibility to tell us how you spent it. If you spent it wrongfully, contravening financial laws that have been established, then you have to live by the consequence of it.
All right.
Yes, and I think if we are not allowing the law to work, then we really be suffering some of these.
Kafui, sorry,
Briefly.
can you read what the finance minister said? What are they saying? Because they took it to parliament.
Okay, so let me just read what the finance minister said. They responded to the COVID infractions. So he says the report, among other things, added that the information ministry paid an unapproved amount of so to staff. So let me see what the finance minister is saying. In a statement issued on January 25, which is 2 days yesterday, the finance ministry explained that 53.8% and 46.2% of resources, which according to the audit report were spent on direct COVID-19 interventions and general budget support, were consistent with the mandate approved by Parliament. They also explained that it coordinated the mobilization and disbursement of funds for the COVID-19 responses in line with the Public Financial Management Act.
You see, that's the transparency side of it. Went to Parliament, it falls in line with the Act. The accountability side is what we're talking about. So the money has been given to you. How do you monitor how that money is spent? That's where the challenge is. We are good at doing transparency, but we are bad at doing accountability. Hence some of these reports that we get from the Auditor General. And the finance minister should bow his head in shame. He shouldn't be saying this. Finance minister shouldn't be saying this. They should be taking it and telling us we are going to investigate what the AG has said, and we'll come out with our own results of it.
You think they are justifying instead of
they are justifying. They're justifying. If they came and they said, we've read the Auditor General's report, and this is what I expect the president to do. We've seen the Auditor General's report on the COVID funding. It is atrocious. We have to do something. I've instructed the finance minister to go into it and give us a good rendition of what is in there.
In your view, what would be the possible reasons for his apparent silence?
Hasn't he been silent all the while?
What do you think are his reasons?
He doesn't care. That's the only thing I can say. The president would wait last minute before he acts. Last minute before he acts. Why? And this is what I don't understand about appointees and the MPP. Oh, the president is busy. The president has so much on his plate. If the president has so much on his plate, who is he responsible to? He's not responsible to us. Weren't we the ones who put him there? Isn't he there to serve us? And with such a damning report, should we not hear from him? We need an active president who shows leadership. That is what we are looking for. Somebody who, with local issues, you come and then you let us understand where you're coming from, what you think about it. Come on. This Auditor General's report is damning, and I'm sure the IMF and the Bretton Woods institutions are looking, and I'm sure that when they now go, Finance Minister says by end of March, the Bretton Woods institutions will let us know whether they are going to forgive us. These things are going to come up. But isn't it shameful that you've gone for loans? You're supposed to pay, and now you're begging for what do you call it? Debt relief. Isn't it shameful? Nobody should come and clap if they give us a debt relief. Nobody should come and say the finance minister has done well. It's an embarrassment on the country. And investors going down the line will be very careful how they lend to Ghana. It's going to have a huge impact on us for the next, if for nothing at all, decade to claw ourselves back, because we've seen it happen before. It took us a decade for people to believe in our economy again. So they shouldn't sit there and start clapping that, oh, we've been able to get debt relief. It is not a good sign for us. Please.
You're watching GTV Breakfast. Not a good sign. This is Mr. Kwame Jantuab. Sheikh Aremi Ashabi also had his thoughts on the issues we've been dealing with this morning. Would love to hear from you on them. 055-556-1034. This is GTV Breakfast. 3 minutes to 8 o'clock. And this is a story that just broke my heart when I heard it. It has to do with the Volta Lake. And I've done some research and I found out that every year 100 lives are lost on the lake. A lot of them are school children. And just recently, 8 school children traveling from one village to another across the Volta Lake perished. They died, they drowned. And the silence from the authorities is just deafening. So we had a news story today in our bulletin at 6 o'clock. And apparently there are plans to put up a school building at Atika Gome in the Sene East district of the Bono East region. The local authority assures that the facility will be constructed before the end of 2023. This follows the drowning of 8 pupils in the Volta Lake who were traveling to school in the nearby community of Wayo Kofe. The local government is appealing for assistance in terms of infrastructure and leaders. Take a look at this story.
That 8 school children from the Atika Gome community in the Sene East district of the Bono East region have drowned when the boat transporting them to school capsized on the Volta Lake. The deceased were among 20 school children in the boat who were traveling from Atika Gome to Wayo Kope, where their school is located. According to NADMO officials, the deceased are made up of 5 boys and 3 girls between the ages of 5 and 12. Earlier, our Bono East regional correspondent, Mr. Samuel Ayama, who visited the area, reported that the family of the victims have been notified and the bodies have been identified and buried.
The Sene East District NADMO director, he has been on the ground since the day the incident happened. And they are thinking, they are still putting their figures together and then assessing the situation to see what they can do to support the bereaved families and also make sure maybe it doesn't occur again. The residents said this is not the first time, and they believe that this will not also be the last if a solution or like innovative measures are not put in place.
On Tuesday.
So I this thing just, one of my friends, Mr. Ajokache, said, listen, the Ministry of Transport must be responsible for this. I mean, how do you allow even one person to die every year on a lake? And I started doing some research. I was wondering, listen.
But what's the means of transport across?
It's canoe.
Canoe.
Yes. It is going to be canoe and nothing else.
Is it in the 21st century?
We have canoes, we have ferries, but these children going to school, I don't think they're sitting on any ferries.
In this era?
They are doing canoes. And with outboard motors and everything, but a canoe is a canoe is a canoe. And so I'm just...
And since when has this been the trend? Since when? Is it the first time that children are traveling across? Ever did it trigger any concern? The risk involved? Was it part of the thinking of a certain authority, even within that, even the district assembly, or the MP, or whoever? You see, concern must be raised at a certain level.
Yeah. Sheikh, before you come in, let me just read you. This is a paper that was presented at a conference in 2021 on waterway transportation accidents in Ghana, a case study on the Volta River. It's very brief. So inland waterways transportation is known to be the safest and most economical means of transportation globally. Nevertheless, the number of ferry and wooden boat accidents, associated casualties recorded annually on the Volta River have demeaned the safety and attractiveness of this mode of transportation in Ghana, as an average of 100 passengers die every year. So they did a survey, and they said among the many causes of accidents on the river, listen to them, the most predominant ones were emerged or submerged stumps located in the navigational channel, because of course these areas were flooded over, there were trees there. So the stumps is one. Overloading of cargoes, unprofessional boat operators, and lack of periodic boat maintenance. So the study suggested that there should be removal of the submerged stumps, establishment of an institution to coordinate inland water transportation, regular training programs for boat operators and owners, ensuring the boats are equipped with life-saving equipment on board, and enforcement of punitive measures for non-compliant boat operators. They say the communities along the Volta River should be educated, blah, 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 blah. You see, the only time you see the life jackets is when the journalists are going to report on the story, or when NADMO is going there. So we see the beautiful life jackets, but the children are not having life jackets, and there are a whole bunch of issues. We'll come back to this story shortly. I understand there's some breaking live news that we want to break into right now. I think I'm getting the signal that we need to go live. Apparently, there is a press conference that is happening. Dr. Atuf Forson, who is currently the new minority leader in Parliament, and his deputy addressing the media this morning, and so we can go there live right now.
And foul of our great party, the NDC, and the people of Ghana for their profound support and solidarity. I have held fruitful and positive conversation, in fact, frank conversation, with my senior brother, the Honorable Haruna Iddrisu. I commended him for his admirable leadership and stewardship when he was granted the opportunity by our great party to lead us. As leader, it will be my duty to represent our collective goals in particular, with an unwavering dedication, and most importantly, with high integrity. I have no doubt that with the support of the entire minority caucus in Parliament, we shall succeed. May the God Almighty guide us and bless us all. But let me also add that our first responsibility is to unite the caucus, and that will be number one on the agenda. things of this nature happens, but obviously there's the need for us to show leadership, and we will do just that. Most importantly, I will focus the next month to tackle three things. First, I wish to first of all send a message to the NPP that the people of Ghana are calling on them to downsize their government, to reflect the mood of the country. You are asking people to forgo their coupons or interest. You are asking the ordinary Ghanaian to sacrifice his payout. And so therefore, if His Excellency the President intends to reshuffle his government, let it be known that we in the NDC will not accept an attempt to increase the size of government. And if the current size of his ministers increase by one, that one person may not receive our cooperation. And in the end, we also wish to assure the people of Ghana that as part of our engagement with the Finance Committee and the Health Committee, we have agreed to do public hearing on the audit of the COVID-19 expenditure, public hearing, beginning on the 7th of February 2023. At that point, we will pay due diligence to the duties given to us as the people of Ghana. And then finally, we will also embark on a roadshow where we will galvanize the people of Ghana and educate them on the meaning of what this economic crisis is going to take us through. But to conclude on this matter, I will appeal to the rank and file of our great NDC party to keep calm. Members of Parliament are in good hands. We will work with them with due diligence. Obviously, we are not new in this house. I've been in this house for 14 years. I know the capabilities of all our colleagues. Some I met, some came to meet me. With most of our colleagues, and I can assure you that together we shall succeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, permit me take my voice like that. I have not been well for the past 1 week.
The word we more. Okay. We met the man.
We intended it not to be in the question.
Okay, so that's the NDC with their press conference talking about debt exchange issues and what they intend to do. A lot of people express disappointment in Parliament, really, because as with a hung Parliament, we're expecting more scrutiny, more things to be held up. I mean, for them to come around and start saying that, oh, okay, we're going to be doing this, it almost sounds hypocritical to a lot of people.
The same old rhetoric. Let's talk about the levy college. That is even more important.
The accidents, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Sheikh, do you want to finish?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 100 people are dying.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible, and even to lose one life, you know, I mean, it's a major concern. For example, even if you tell me that every month, only one person dies, what is the risk? And I want to find out, for example, this Volta Lake has been there for a long time, is a means of transportation. Children, at the risk of their lives, have to travel across it to cross it to the other side of the lake so they can go to school. And if we are told that is it every year 100 people die?
Yes, 100 people die every year. That's like 8 a month.
Including children to school.
Oh, of course. We just had 8 children die.
So the Minister of Transport, the local government, the MP of the area, and so on and so forth. So since when did this risk begin? And what has been done respect to reducing the risk and the dangers that this children go through? I think some of these matters don't bother us so much. I mean, that is the way we behave. But if you go to a developed country, losing just one life, in
It's-
fact,
it's a tragedy.
Look, even the criminal, when the criminal is shot and he's not yet dead, they cordon off the place, they rush him to the hospital, make sure he's treated, so that he can go through prosecution.
Keep him alive so you
Keep
can
him
get him.
You know, but in our case, sometimes it appears like losing life is, you know, doesn't even trigger any concern. Yeah. So I'm worried that I'm expecting that this must be a concern for the Ministry of Education, including the GES. It must be a matter of concern for the Ministry of Transportation. It must be a matter of concern for the local assembly or the local government, the MCE there. For all this while, I think this is enough for somebody to resign and say, look, for this thing to happen under my watch, I think it's a shame. I have to resign on principle. That person can be the MC or whoever is there. For them to have lived to see this, those stumps that we're talking about since the time of His Excellency J.J. Rawlings, that I heard about this removal of stumps. Since his time.
And you're talking about it in the 2021 conference.
I
I mean,
and you know my surprise. I just was trying to find out from my brother. Is it by canoe or by some ferry or some distance? Is it by canoe?
well, there's no canoes here with engines. They're not rowing, but it's an outdoor motor. in the 21st century. Yeah.
In this era.
Yeah. Because the Volta Lake Transport Company does not take part to do this kind of transportation. They do bulk products and other heavy duty stuff across the lake, but they're not.
In this era, when we know children are traveling across the water body to go to school, and associated with this risk of the stumps and whatever overloading, that puts the life of these children at risk. And for all these years, no creative thinking around this. To guarantee safety of children, to reduce the risk of traveling across the river, and we are there taking salaries. Why are we being put in office at all? That's why I'm saying it's a big shame that somebody must resign. Honorably. He said, for this thing to happen under my watch, or somebody must use authority to fire. And say, look, so for all these years you are in this office and you never thought about the safety of these children who travel. If you don't care about the adults, okay, you leave the adults to go.
They're on their way out. But these are the ones coming up.
But these are children.
These are children coming up. Kwame.
You see, in Ghana here, what I've seen, the safety of children is not of concern to us.
No.
Look, sometimes I see a young lady or a young man walking with a child. He goes to the safer side of the road.
Yeah.
He goes to the safer side of the road.
And exposes the child to the traffic.
Yes.
The traffic. And then he will be beating the child.
Crazy.
One can home. One can home. Or the say China sorry. Then sometimes I will stop and say, Mommy, Aqualano, Manunko the other side why? No braha. Then I will say, Papa Midasi. So I stop my car and I will talk to them. Now look, sometimes because I drive close to the child and my heart beats. So I will stop and say, look, can you get the child to the other side? And you, who is strong, if you want to come in to be hit by a car, you can do that. But that child cannot be hit by a car. So even our mind, our sense of safety in itself is very, very, very low. And so we care less about this and look at how we are saying for every year 100 souls.
Yes, 100 souls are gone.
Through our recklessness, our lack of safety measures and so on. I think it's a big worry.
But Sheikh, is it only that? When you're in traffic, you see people with their children in the front seat on their lap.
Yes.
In the car.
Yep.
Yes.
Anytime I see it, I roll my window down and say, please, let that child sit at the back.
Yeah.
You don't understand it.
Yeah.
They don't.
Or the kids roaming around in the car while the car is moving.
Look, a car is a lethal weapon.
Big time.
A lethal weapon. And when accidents happen, snap of a finger, you sometimes even don't see it happen, and it's happened. Look, we have myopic leaders in this country. Myopic leaders. When we talked about the Volta Lake, I pulled up to read about it. Let me tell you what he says. The Volta Lake is the largest man-made lake in the world.
Geography.
100%. Tourism too.
Man-made lake
the whole world.
in the world, not even in Africa, in the world. The visionary ideas of Osagyefo
Massive.
created this lake.
Big time.
So why aren't we commercializing it? Go to the River Thames in London, that cuts across London.
Cruise.
See what is being used for. At Nigeria here, when you go to Ikoyi, they have I've forgotten the name of the river. You see the kind of boats, foreigners bought yachts moored on the river shore.
They're chilling.
Chilling. Are you trying to tell me we cannot commercialize the Volta Lake?
Largest man-made lake in the world.
Largest man-made lake in the world. Are you trying to tell me we cannot have boats that transport children back and forth? That they have to go in canoes? And let's face it, it's a very calm lake.
Yeah.
There are no ripples in it.
No.
It's calm. So why is this happening? Is it myopic leadership? That we can't do anything about it? Is that what you're saying? We can't make money from the Volta Lake. The other thing is Ghana being the center of the world, which passes through Tema. Are we marketing it? If this were any other country, will they not market it? What are we doing? And then you have leadership in this country. 100 people
every year.
are dying every year.
100.
And we don't care.
Don't care. I'm yet to see a statement from the Seni East District.
Look,
you know,
the
local assembly must be held responsible.
The
at the source.
Volta Lake can transform that area.
Yeah, big
Volta
time.
Lake alone
Yeah.
can transform that area. We don't do anything about it. There's a hotel. If you go to Akosombo,
Yeah.
VRA,
Yeah.
on the other side of the lake, quite an expensive hotel. Even when you look at the hotel from the Volta Lake, the VRA side, you can see it's a beautiful hotel. What are we doing to make sure that the transport there, people can go? Look, people are looking for places to go during holidays.
Yeah, Accra is too hot.
Accra is too hot. Why don't we develop that area?
Kumasi is too hot.
A lot of people from West Africa will come in. The Nigerians will come in.
Yeah.
They go straight there.
Honeymoon destination.
I said tourism makes more money than oil and gas. What are we sitting there for?
What am I sitting here for when I have messages to go and read? Let me go and read the messages. Mr. Kwame Jatwa and Sheikh Harimia Shaibu. Oh, wow. It's a lot going on. But I think that Seni East DCE, he has a lot of questions to answer.
Is it the DCE alone?
Yeah, so we'll start from that and we'll go all the way to the very top.
Maybe he doesn't have the money to do what he's supposed to do.
Then he should leave the job.
He can't speak to leadership, he can't speak to power.
Leave the job and go and farm or something. Kudos to your Astute Thursday panel. Wisdom filled. I agree. Nana Kojo, changing the current minority leadership is even long overdue. The very day they confirmed and endorsed Hawa Kumsun, Ken Ofori-Atta was the day they should have been changed. We, the grassroots, will also sign a petition for who will enter parliament in 2025. Says Nana Kojo, messages are your messages. That's our disclaimer right here. New minority leader of the NDC cannot do anything for Ghana. They're going to lose again in 2024. Says Isa. Indina, says Richard Adadi. Indina Wohan. So still government is silent on the death of the 8 pupils on their way to school. How much is a life jacket compared to the cost of building a cathedral? I pray for God's immediate intervention on our dear country Ghana. Igwe from Teshi. Good morning, panel members. The people of this nation need a different attitude. We have to be national-minded rather than partisan. I agree. Maoli Kwashi, look at that. Children dying in a river, a lake, just for going to school. Where is the common sense? Buying V8 is easy for them, and you're telling children not to insult. Nothing will change after the constitution has been reviewed, period. Says Maoli Selassie Chachu Kwashi.
For that one, for children to insult, we disagree.
We disagree with that one.
Disagree
yes,
completely.
Yes, let's keep them safe, and they shouldn't insult us.
Yeah.
I agree.
Express your view. Yeah.
Question to Chief Imam's Rep, Sheikh Harimia Shaibu. As a teacher, why did they stop teaching of civics in schools? Because the civics subject was intended to make students become useful and upright citizens. Alaji Dawood and Madina Estate. My different question to leading member of the CPP is, can politicians accept cash gifts from businessmen to support their campaigns?
No.
No. They have to declare, right?
Yeah.
You've got to declare.
The thing about party funding is that we are not paying dues in our parties. So if you don't pay dues in your party, how do you raise money to run your party? It's not a question of a businessman. That is neither here nor there, because the businessman will expect his pound of flesh after you come into power, and that doesn't help, and that's how corruption is built.
Okay. All right, we're trying to get through to the Senate East DC. Understand his phone is off. He better put his phone on. It's 8 o'clock. You're supposed to have your phone on. You're supposed to be working. Senate East. If you are listening to me and you're in Senate East, tell the DC that GTV wants to speak to him. He better put his phone on. All right. I hope he didn't put his phone off when he heard we're going to speak to him. All right. He should put his phone on. Our producers are hardworking. They're going to keep trying until we get the man. He has to explain to us why these children died. Honestly speaking, go on GTV Breakfast Show. Everybody deserves something better in life. All those MPs were voted by people in their constituencies, which makes them equal by law. The reshuffling is far, far better. Okay, kudos to the new leadership. John Pengba. Okay, Patriotic Soldier says so. Ni Adiko. Comprehensive studies and proposals have been churned out each year. It's not a new phenomenon. It's partisanship and deep corruption, which are cancers to the development of the Volta Lake Basin. Leadership has failed our people. Shame, shame, shame. Kwame Sebe Yadom. Your discussions will make only reasonable sense if the impact of COVID in Ukraine is recognized and placed in proper perspective, rather than gunning for the blood of ministers. Please, let us not be blaming COVID and Ukraine. The borrowing started long before 2020. Please. The Ukraine war just started in 2022? Please. 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 Good morning, GTV. Is it that the Constitution doesn't allow individuals to sue suspected corrupt government officials? If that's the case, then we need to change that rule so that individuals can sue government officials, since the government can't punish its friends. Hi, Kath. Your comment. Okay. Oh, it's a song. Some lyrics. How do you feel when you lie straight face while people cry? How do you feel when you promise something that you know you'll never do? Giving false hope to the people, giving false hope to the underprivileged. Do you really sleep at night when you know you are living a lie? To you, it's just a job. To the people, it hurts to the bone. Oh, political games that they play 4 times, like medicine. Yep, indeed. You say you want to put it on record that nobody orchestrated the reshuffling of the minority leadership. Okay, thank you very much, Musa Abattoir. We hear you. Akakbu Godwin, watching inside Ashaiman. It's only chop chop. Oh, that's what you are claiming that the government is involved in. Thank you. Daniel Otabu Kumson. Mr. Janto has said it all about the absence of career guidance in our schools and the need to actively unearth grievances so they don't lead to demonstrations. In addition, schools should cultivate peaceful demonstration if necessary. Good morning, sir. We must all find a way of discouraging such attitude from our young students. But the only problem as Ghanaians is hypocrisy at all levels. Let's start from now in one voice. Mohammed, Communities 18. All right. Come on, GTV. Keep doing the good work, enjoying the vibes. So are we, brother. COVID-19 is a clear indication that we can no longer trust people that have been assigned to political power. The expenditure is just mind-boggling. Good morning. You are leaving the room for class. You want us to send the name of the lady in Nkrumah's last cabinet, Susanna Al-Hassan. Yes, her daughter just got in touch, and so did the son of Minister Provincial, Oscar. He said he wanted the photos. Yeah, you resurrected some good memories. Yeah, thank you very much. Enjoying the show, and you are saying they should save the NPP with Dr. Afriyie Koto now. Yo, I'm sure Alan Cash has other things to say about that.
Really?
Good morning, Calf. If people would die and the people in charge of security are not willing to work as how they were appointed, then I think they should resign, and we should be taught how to secure ourselves. Good morning, Calf. Really down hearing of these recurrence of deaths, especially children. Can't we have schools built where they live and send the best of teachers there if we are so much interested in building a future for them? Those in authority should rethink in these lines. And after the death of 8 people, they've decided to build a school in the community. I mean, did they have to wait till that time? 8 young children.
Planning.
Gone.
Planning.
Futures snuffed out. It's like if you blow on a candle,
yes.
It's gone.
Gone.
You know, they're gone forever. And the people who mourn them are their parents and their families.
I think that apart from government, those who have the spirit of philanthropy, you know, sometimes you just need an L-shaped block. Just an L-shaped block, which some of the very wealthy people here can easily, apart from what they have more than they need.
Yeah, more than they need.
More than they need. Somebody can just, a philanthropist, out of goodwill, just go to look. These children, just L-shape. L-shape.
And you are done. That's all. Sheikh said it all. Government come, government go. Same storyline. Incumbents without fail accuse the past leadership of corruption. African leadership, except in Rwanda, is unfortunate. We're tired of the same 2 parties playing with our intelligence. All we did for decades is talk, and rant on radio and TV stations, but it's the same old story. Nothing has changed. And Trisha says, Calf, why didn't you read my message? Trisha, I just read your message. Thank you. Ayman, or is it Ayman? Ayman. Please talk about something else. Auditing is just a name in the books. The reports are not even the true reflection on the ground. Martin Ajamili. Sami, members of the NDC who are calling for change strangely don't want to be changed, and so after their changes, heaven is breaking loose. Heaven cannot break loose. Please rearrange your comments. Thank you for such a wonderful discussion. Honorable Sheikh, I agree with you 50% because you didn't talk about the need for leaders in this country to support the few creative youth to encourage others to follow suit. In Ghana, you engineer something and it stays in your room. So discouraging, says Ghana First. Kasua, more messages coming in. I totally disagree with you, Kaf. The global economic downturn is attributed to COVID and Ukraine. Check all your deep debates at Davos. Well, you may be right, but I also read of a country where for the last 19 years, they've had bumper harvests. Now, this country, they feed 1 billion people plus. And since 2003, since the second year of President Kufuor's term till now, they've had bumper harvests every year for 19 years. I read the New Year's speech of their leader. He didn't talk about COVID and things. He didn't talk about Ukraine and all that stuff. They are feeding their people. We can do it if we want. No excuses, please. The people who are speaking at Davos, they don't have all the answers. Otherwise, we'll not be in this economic mess.
They are finding the answers.
They are now looking for the answers too, all right? Otherwise, we'll not be in this mess. Brainy people were behind the 2008 global financial crisis, okay? Brainy people, very sharp people. So it's not just brains. Sometimes home sense too, eh? Yeah, it's not just academics. All right. Economic crisis predated before COVID-19, the war in Ukraine. 100%. There's a sense of helplessness and frustration in the youth of this country. It's a result of failed leadership, greed, acrimonious politics, corruption, and poor economic management. All right. Good morning, dear brothers. Please, this is the Ghana we know, or is this the Ghana we know, or the 1979 one? May Allah put his hand on your motherland, Ghana. His hand is already on Ghana. Don't worry. Everything will be all right. Baby, don't worry about a thing, because every little thing is going to be all right. You're not sure it's God who told our president to build a cathedral for him, because the personal covenant or pledge to be diverted, blah, 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 blah. Muslims built the national mosque without a nation, so the president should build the cathedral he promised his God and not to involve Ghana's coffers at all, says our viewer. Okay, thank you very much. I think I'm done with my messages. Keep them coming in 055 556 1034. Quick notes: the Senate East DC East phone number his phone is still off, but we'll see. If we don't get him today, we'll get him tomorrow. We'll ask him questions.
Yes. You know the sad thing.
Tell me, sir.
Those tree stumps in the Volta Lake, they are quite valuable. I understand they got a Canadian company to come and uproot some of them.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yes, and there's still some in there. Why can't we do it ourselves? Why can't we find a way to uproot those trees? Apart from that, Kafui, haven't we done it before in this country? In terms of development, in terms of producing everything for ourselves. Haven't we done it before? Why are we finding ourselves in this particular state when we've done it before? Can we not go back and see how we did it and fashion it and make sure we do it right? Can't we do it?
Good question.
But will we? Partisan politics. For me, partisan politics, the reason why I didn't want to talk about the NDC thing, they're all part and parcel of the quagwagra we are going through. All part and parcel of it. If you didn't pass these ministers who were brought forth, would we be going through this type of thing? We'll be going through it. Anyway, God for us all.
Maybe so. Please pull up the picture of Kwame Nkrumah's last cabinet while we end this conversation, because there are some interesting comments coming from children of people who saw their parents in that photo, Mr. Jantua. So you've given us a nice, real throwback. So Salma Al Hassan says, "Good morning to you, Mr. Jantua, for the picture." And she said she'd really much like to meet you, Sheikh. Salma, this is the daughter of Susan Al Hassan. Yes, Salma. Yes, Salma. Yes. She says she and you have a history that you may not know about, so she would like to meet you. So that's the picture there of Kwame Nkrumah's last cabinet. Mr. Jantua is on the far right. Is that correct?
He's the one in glasses.
No, the one behind.
The one in glasses right behind Osagyefo.
And then Oscar Provençal's father is also in there somewhere. So Oscar sent me a message just telling me that, hey, we should send that photo to him because he loves that photo so much. It reminds him of the days back then. His father was, among many things, a mayor as well. And he's in that photo as well. It would be good for us to put this photo up on social media and ask people to identify all these people. So what happened? So this is, Oscar's father was called Henry Sonny Provençal.
Yes.
He was the first mayor of Accra, member of parliament for Gamashi constituency, personal assistant to Kwame Nkrumah, minister of state at the interior. And he's somewhere at the back with a nice Oscar kind of hairstyle. Yeah. So thank you so much for this. And may Papa rest in peace.
Do you know it was Kobodusai who told Buzia to leave?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I need to sit to you for more history lessons. All right. How did you call him, Dad or Papa?
My father,
Yes.
Daddy.
You call him Daddy. Well, so may Daddy rest in peace.
And then after a while, we started calling him Opop.
Oh, Papa.
He didn't like it at all.
Yeah. So tomorrow will be 3 years since he
Yes,
passed.
3 years, yes.
May he rest in perfect peace. And all the people, none of the people in that photo are alive.
None of
It's
them.
amazing.
Yeah,
It just shows us that
yeah.
one day,
shall
no matter
all
how indispensable you think you are, you will not be here. And I'm ending on.
And you see, Kafui, just before, with all those people in there, our fathers, it goes to show that we owe this country a responsibility. And we've got to speak out when things are going wrong. All those people you were reading their messages, they can't just sit and send messages. They should act.
Indeed.
Things they really see are not working. They should act. Look, if Ghana decided we don't want Ken Ofori-Atta, President says no, we are taking him, then Ghanaians will say we are not going to work for the next 1 week if you don't move this man.
Okay.
Won't we have something good out of it? But we seem to not want to rock the boat.
right.
Sometimes you've got to rock
before
the
we
boat.
go, can I make appeal to any public-spirited person? And I know there are very, very wealthy people, and there are private companies who have what it takes. Those pictures we see of those children in the schools that I've seen, I have been, as a child, I've been in the school like that before. I don't wish to see any child like that in my life. Can somebody, what they need is just some furniture, which in somebody's wealth is just a drop. Can somebody just decide that on his own? He's just engaging a carpenter for some furniture.
All right.
To be sent to those places.
call.
And then the Volta area, my L-shaped building.
Yes.
It
It's
will
gonna
not cost
happen.
too much in somebody's wealth.
Thank you so much.
Kafi, we are talking
Sheikh.
about it. How can we help? How can all of us help?
Let's get off the air,
Yes,
then we'll
let's
have a
get off.
little
Okay.
caucus meeting. All right. So Kwame Jantwa is the chairman of the Political Affairs Committee of the Convention People's Party. He's a lawyer, he's an energy expert as well, and the son of the great F.A. Jantwa, cabinet minister in Osagyefo first cabinet. And Sheikh Arimia Shaibu is the spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. Thank you very much for your input into today's show. Just a couple of quick, brief headlines before I run off. Daily Graphic leads with World Bank rewards nation for emission reduction. Government should cut expenditure. Ghana committed to safeguarding human rights, says the Attorney General. And 2022 BECE results are out.
Chai.
Hearts are shaking or hearts are smiling. Depends on how you perform. Ghanaian Times, World Bank pays Ghana over $4.8 million for first monitoring period. 39 Krobia Asante Technical Vocational Institute students remanded over vandalism in school. And Ghana Health Service records 221 new leprosy cases nationwide last year. Wow. And propel intra-Africa trade and investment YOFI grants from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center rallies IPAs. For those of you who feel you are so indispensable and people will not miss you, people will miss you when you are gone, a brief poem. It's called Indispensable Man by Saxon White Kessinger. Sometime when you're feeling important, sometime when your ego is in bloom, sometime when you take it for granted, you are best qualified in the room, sometime when you feel that you're going would leave an unfillable hole, just follow these simple instructions and see how they humble your soul. Take a bucket and fill it with water. Put your hand in it up to the wrist. Pull it out, and the hole that's remaining is a measure of how you'll be missed. You can splash all you wish when you enter. You may stir up the water galore, but stop and you'll find that in no time, it looks quite the same as before. The moral of this quaint example is do just the best that you can. Be proud of yourself, but remember, there's no indispensable man. Stick around. There's more. I'm not indispensable. I'm going to have my breakfast. See you soon.